Welcome back to Invest Global. Today we're doing a deep dive on Helium and their HNT token, all things about this ecosystem, the beautiful things that they're doing with decentralized Wi-Fi. That's one of the main things you have to understand. In order to run any blockchain ecosystem, you do need certain components that are still in this centralized ecosystem, right? So moving from centralized to decentralized applications, you're still running these softwares typically on centralized servers. So there's different things like Akash is a project that I talked about that's working with Helium. It's basically decentralizing that area. There's projects like Helium that are decentralizing the Wi-Fi area. There's tons of different projects kind of moving from, essentially you could see this as Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, right? That's what we're going to be talking all about today with Helium. So let's get right into it. So they describe themselves as a people-powered network, starting a wireless revolution powered by the Helium blockchain. The People's Network represents a paradigm shift for decentralized wireless infrastructure. So just to kind of break this down, kind of an overview of the Helium project, what you want to understand is essentially they allow this incentive where if you buy an actual Helium router, just like you would buy a Wi-Fi router for your apartment, your home, whatever it is, your office, if you buy a Helium router, it's helping to run the network. So similar to how Bitcoin miners help run the actual Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum moving from proof of work to proof of stake. So people who stake on the network and you can validate to either you're delegating your validation like on Polkadot. I've done videos on staking Polkadot, and essentially what you do is you delegate it to validators. And essentially what all of this is doing is you're helping run this ecosystem. So you're kind of another node in the network. And as more people enter, the incentives are a lot higher when there's less people, just like you go to a staking pool and the APY can be crazy. Like maybe it's 300% APY because there's not a lot of capital coming in, but it's a dynamic APY, just like the rewards on Bitcoin are dynamic, right? Like the block rewards. That's kind of the whole game theory with this. And the beautiful thing about Helium is they took all this different game theory from Bitcoin, from all these different mining ecosystems, and they said, hey, we're going to apply this to Wi-Fi because Wi-Fi is one of those things where if one company owns all the Wi-Fi in the network and they say, hey, we don't want this on our network, they can ban it. And that's the beautiful thing about decentralizing this, just like cloud storage, right? So Filecoin is doing this in the cloud storage space. They're essentially using the IPFS, the interplanetary file system, and there's a lot of other projects doing this. But overall, I hope you understand kind of the basics. If you don't, let me know in the comments. I can always make a follow-up video to this. We're going to go a little bit more deep in depth in it. So just have that kind of as an overview of what the project's doing as we go into this. They've been featured on all these top things. The network is live. So total hotspots, 63,000. So right around 64,000 actually. Let's see. So data credits spent, 129.57 billion. So that's about what, 1.3 million dollars. Circulating HNT supply is 91 million. We will talk about their HNT token over here on CoinGecko closer to the end of the video. So by the way, throughout this, like I said, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, but also join the Telegram group, because if you're interested in like a discussion on is Helium a good investment, like should I maybe use the Helium router, it's harder to have like a longer form discussion in YouTube comments, but if you join the Telegram group, we can hash those things out as a group there. So you can see, you can actually view the block explorer there. The network map is quite interesting. For example, I am here in Batumi, Georgia. I'd be curious to see. And by the way, the whole idea here is you have, again, if people aren't running a lot of networks in Russia or in Georgia, you have these opportunities to do so. And you could potentially get in early. So like I'm in this part of the world right now, and you see on the map, it's mainly Western Europe, some over here in like Eastern Asia, a lot in the United States. Just globally, like Africa, it does not have a lot of routers. But I mean, if I set up a router here, since I'm on the Black Sea, here, my bad. I was looking at different. That's the Dead Sea. If I set up a router here, I would get a much higher reward than I would if I'm setting it up in these massive clusters, right? So just like if you're in the United States, you go, hey, look at, northeastern Mexico or northwest Mexico, there's opportunities to set up routers. There's opportunities in South America to set up routers, and you'll have a higher reward for doing so. So very interesting as far as looking at this map goes. I think over time, it'll be fascinating to see, how this spreads across Russia, all the laws with different governments with this. But I love what Helium's doing fundamentally. So let's move on to the next part here. Let's see what they talk about. So this is basically the different miners you can set up. There's a lot of different options you can do. So originally it was just like one miner, and I think it was around like $200. But you have to think about, you're getting paid this income not in just like fiat currency. You're getting paid in the HNT token for actually running the network. So very, very cool. And it basically does the work for you, right? Like you do have the energy cost, but if you use things like solar, bike going by. If you use things like solar, you can basically get these costs down. So a new way to mine crypto: by deploying a simple device at your home or office, you can provide your city with miles of low-power network coverage to billions of devices with a new cryptocurrency, HNT. So bye-bye to the GPU mining. Mining HNT with hotspots is done via radio technology, not expensive or wasteful GPUs. Build networks. Hotspots work together to form a new global wireless network and undertake proof of coverage. Choose your hardware. Hotspots are built by a variety of vendors to suit your needs. So you can see, like I said, these are kind of the differences here. Maybe we can go in detail. And I'm not going to do just a deep dive on setting it up. Maybe I'll do kind of like a how-to video, because I do think there is a nice opportunity here, especially as HNT, the token, has dropped a bit, to get in. Like, basically what you're doing is you're averaging into a token. Like, if you're running the network down here and you're essentially averaging in, right? So you're getting paid in the HNT token, then you have this massive rise, and it's like you made a lot of profit there, right? So it was consistently around $1.50, and then we had that massive rise. So you just had a nice 10x plus gain. So you have to keep that in mind, right? So you're not getting paid in something that is melting away, like the US dollar or the euro or the lari, whatever it is, whatever currency. You're getting paid in this nice HNT token with a lot of upside. So tokens and data credits. The network uses two units of exchange: HNT, a new cryptocurrency, and data credits. That was, up here when we talked about those data credits, like where were we? Yeah, right here. Those are the data credits spent. Proof of coverage. So that's very, very interesting. Our novel proof of work algorithms enables hotspots to be rewarded trustlessly. Helium LongFi. So LongFi combines the low power, long range, low run wireless protocol with the Helium blockchain. So the investors here, a lot of great investors. You have Multicoin Capital, Mark Beanoff, Munich RE, Harvard Stream Boiler. Very interesting. Let's move on here to the new wireless economy. This is kind of interesting, right? Like with the HNT token. So the People's Network creates an entirely new wireless economy that flips the traditional telecom model of building wireless infrastructure on its head. And I love this because, again, it's taking the money that were made by these massive corporations, these guys in suits and ties, and spreading it out to the people, right? Anyone can run the node. Anyone can use this and benefit off it, kind of a passive income, and really help the community as well. So using a burn and mint equilibrium token model, the People's Network utilizes two units of exchange: HNT and data credits. So the difference here, we talked about HNT, but data credits are used by devices to send data on the network and for blockchain transaction fees. You can think about this like gas on Ethereum, so what you're actually paying for the fees. Data credits are created by burning HNT and are non-exchangeable and tied to a single user. So HNT is mined and distributed to hotspot owners. Like I talked about, these are the different hotspots you can see. Again, I can make a separate video specifically like analyzing the hotspots for Helium and looking at, okay, like what are, when would you potentially get your return on investment back? Is this good long-term? Do I believe in HNT long-term? Which I would say yes, at this point in time, I do believe in HNT long-term. But as far as running the routers is a different thing. I personally do not run any routers just because I do a lot of traveling. I'm kind of all over the place in whatever country I'm in. I've considered setting up these different routers. But the problem for me is like actually getting them to me. A lot of these countries that I spend time in, more emerging markets, their shipping systems aren't the best, right? Like it's not like they have Amazon. So and it's not like you can just go into a retail store and buy the HNT routers. You have to buy it from their actual I think which is in the mine section here. You have to buy it from their website. So year one breakdown: 30% network data transfer rewarded for hearing devices and relaying their packets to the internet. 35% hotspot infrastructure rewarded for participating in, witnessing, and creating proof of coverage challenges. And then 35% Helium Inc. and investors assigned to founders, investors, and organizations who will manage blockchain governance. The distribution over time, you can see that. I'm not going to get too in detail there. Max supply versus inflation rate. So the max supply is 223 million HNT. You can also see that right here. So you can see 223 million. Currently, it's around 87 million is out there in the actual ecosystem. Net emissions, all these different things. So these are the data credits. Pretty interesting things there. And then 5G is always something that you have to keep in mind. 5G is coming. That's pretty cool. So partnering with FreedomFi, Helium is excited to announce the second wireless network 5G. For more information, you can visit there or read that blog. So again, everything that I talk about and really any of these videos, I typically have links down below in the description so you're on the official site. So check out the links down below. Besides that, we can take a look at the Helium ecosystem. So discover new hardware and software solutions for using and supporting the People's Network. These are all the different ones here. So asset tracking, IoT's toolkit, so the Internet of Things toolkit. They have all these different cool cool kind of like partnerships, healthcare monitoring, enterprise IoT platform, Helium Hiker, really, really cool. Tons of things here you can see there. But yeah, it's a very robust ecosystem, to be quite honest. And then lastly, the HNT token here on CoinGecko. 23,000 people have this on their watch list. So I always like to look at that for kind of more sentimental analysis. It's right around $9.71, down about 23% on the daily, $850 million in market cap. And anyone who's watching this in the future, this is kind of where we've seen this retracement back down in the crypto market as Bitcoin continues to fall, especially today. A lot of altcoins are falling, and some people are panicking, but I believe in these projects long term. And to me, I find this is kind of more of an averaging in opportunity. So while Helium hasn't retraced as far as a lot of these other projects, Helium went to like I was talking about, around $19 there, and now they're down about 50%, where some projects are down like 60, 70, 80%. Yeah, so as far as Helium, I'm not currently averaging in here. Other altcoins I am, but if we maybe fall down to like the $5 level, I would be picking up some more Helium. But yeah, that's basically it for Helium. Essentially, they're running this like hotspot ecosystem where you have all these decentralized applications using the internet, but you want to make sure that any wireless router you're using is also decentralized, right? Because at any point in time, they can say, hey, this server on this individual database, this doesn't agree with us, or maybe it becomes banned, whatever it is. That's the beautiful thing about Helium, is it allows anyone to run the ecosystem and have the benefit of the passive income with the HNT token. So that's all for this one. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, button all, invest global, and until next time.